the headlines of VTV News, 13th Party Central Committee convenes 10th plenum. Localities speed up construction of key transport projects. And later on in our world news, Israel and Hezbollah tensions continue to heat up.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News, broadcast live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Pham, and here's the top news of the hour. The 13th Party Central Committee's 10th plenum opened in Hanoi on Wednesday morning. Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm chaired the meeting and delivered the opening speech.
The Party Central Committee observed a minute of silence to commemorate the victims of Typhoon Yagi and the floods. General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm stated that this 10th plenum would address 10 topics related to two groups of strategic issues and specific tasks, including those needed to accelerate the successful implementation of the resolution from the 13th National Party Congress. Regarding preparations for the 14th Party Congress and the submitted documents, General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm suggested that the Party Central Committee focus on clarifying the political report and the implementation of strategic goals set by the 13th Congress. He urged that the discussion also address effective policies and measures that could propel the country into a new era, as well as new practical elements that need to be included.
We must prioritize institutional and developmental breakthroughs, innovate our personnel practices, and enhance socio-economic infrastructure. By developing new productive forces and improving production relations, we can create opportunities and foster new avenues for growth, driving national development and defense. It's crucial to focus on refining production relations and streamlining the structures of the party, state, National Assembly, and socio-political organizations. Innovating the party's leadership and governance methods is crucial for moving Vietnam forward. We need to promote decentralization, reform administrative procedures, and tap into all social resources. Emphasizing digital and green transformations is essential, with science, technology, and innovation serving as key drivers of development.
Regarding personnel preparation for the 14th Party Congress, General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm emphasized the importance of the report summarizing the personnel work of the 13th Party Central Committee and the development of personnel direction for the 14th Party Central Committee. He urged the Party Central Committee to approach this responsibility with impartiality, transparency, objectivity, caution, and thoroughness, always prioritizing the common national and people's interest. The 10th plenum will also discuss party-building work and the implementation of the party charter. Also on the same day, the Party Central Committee held a fundraiser to support those affected by storms and floods.
In the morning, the committee discussed in groups the draft political report to be submitted to the 14th National Party Congress and another on a number of theoretical and practical issues about socialist-oriented reform in Vietnam over the past 40 years. Group discussions continued in the afternoon, focusing on draft reports on the 5-year implementation of the 2021 to 2030 socio-economic development strategy and orientations and texts for 2026 to 2030, the implementation of the 2024 socio-economic development plan, as well as the 2025 plan and the implementation of the state budget in 2024 and estimate for 2025, along with the 2025 to 2027 budget finance plan and the North-South high-speed railway project. The personnel work will dominate group discussions in the evening, including that of the 13th Party Central Committee and orientations for the 14th tenure. Also on Wednesday, Party General Secretary and State President Theo chaired a Politburo meeting on documents regarding the investment policy of the North-South High-Speed Railway. After looking into the Party Committee of the Ministry of Transport's report on the investment policy and feedback from related agencies, the Politburo discussed the importance of the project as it aims to meet transportation demands, as well as optimally and sustainably restructure transportation along the North-South corridor. It will serve as a foundation and driving force for socio-economic development. The Politburo also agreed to consult the Party Central Committee for feedback before approving the investment policy. This policy will be presented to the National Assembly during the 8th session of the 10th National Assembly. The government has issued Resolution 143 on the key text and solutions for promptly settling the aftermath of Typhoon Yagi, stabilizing people's lives, boosting production and business recovery, actively promoting economic growth, and controlling inflation.
To quickly recover in the typhoon's aftermath, the government demanded ministers, heads of ministry-level agencies, government agencies, and others at the central level, along with the chairpersons of the People's Committees of the 26 Yagi-hit localities, promptly, drastically, and effectively carry out the Politburo's conclusion. These tasks are to be undertaken along with the government and the Prime Minister's resolutions and directions, focusing on the focal tasks and solutions. The goal is to protect people's lives, safety, and health as the top priority, guarantee social security, and recover daily and social activities to stabilize people's lives, especially in the localities hit hard by the storm, flooding, and landslides. The Politburo conclusion also aims to help business and industry quickly resume production and supply and labor chains, restore and develop production and business activities, and sustain the growth and recovery trend of the localities and the entire economy in 2024. The 6 groups of focal tasks and solutions outlined in the resolution include those on protecting people's lives, safety, and health, and supporting the recovery of daily and social activities to stabilize people's lives. They also discuss supporting production establishments, business households, cooperatives, and enterprises to quickly resume production, supply, and labor chains while recovering and bolstering production, business, and economic growth. Other discussion points are on the preparedness against natural disasters, including future storms, flooding, and landslides. The resolution also mentions mechanisms, policies, and solutions for reducing and simplifying administrative procedures to implement support policies, and inflation control and economic growth promotion.
The Central Advisory Council on Amnesty, or CACA, convened a meeting on September the 18th to review the list of inmates nominated for amnesty on a case-by-case basis before it is submitted to General Secretary and State President Theo for approval on the occasion of the 79th National Day and the 70th anniversary of the liberation of the capital. Permanent Deputy Prime Minister Nguyễn Hòa Bình, chairman of the 2024 CACA, stated that since 2009, 9 rounds of special amnesty have been granted to over 92,000 individuals. This amnesty work has met political, legal, professional, and diplomatic standards, earning approval from the public and high praise from the international community. To ensure the success of this year's amnesty, the Deputy Prime Minister urged authorities to conduct inspections, reviews, and evaluations in a public and transparent manner, carefully consider each case, and strictly adhere to the conditions and criteria outlined in the amnesty law and the state president's decision. The tropical low-pressure system in the East Sea could intensify into a storm, potentially impacting the central mainland directly. At 10 a.m. on September the 18th, the tropical low-pressure area was about 180 kilometers east of Hwang Sa Island district, with an intensity level of 7 and level 9 gusts. In the next 24 hours, the tropical low-pressure area is forecast to move quickly at a speed of 15 to 20 kilometers per hour and strengthen into a storm. By 10 a.m. on September the 19th, the storm center will be located directly over coastal waters from Quảng Trị to Quảng Nam. The storm's intensity will likely reach level 8, with wind speeds up to 62 to 74 kilometers per hour and gusts up to level 10. In the next 24 hours, the dangerous area at sea will extend from 15 to 19 degrees north latitude west of 115 degrees east longitude. Rivers from Thanh Hóa to Quảng Nam are likely to experience flooding, with peak levels ranging from alert level 1 to 2. The Ngan Sâu and Ngan Phố rivers in Hà Tĩnh, as well as small rivers in Quảng Bình and Quảng Trị, may reach alert level 2 to 3. On the afternoon of September the 18th, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development held an emergency meeting, both in person and online, with provinces from Ninh Bình to Bình Định to coordinate response efforts. Due to the tropical depression's heavy rainfall, there is a high risk of flash floods and landslides. The ministry urged provinces to quickly assess the situation, prepare evacuation plans for high-risk areas, and harvest rice and seafood where possible. They also emphasized reviewing reservoirs and small hydropower plants to ensure safety and compliance with regulations. Provinces, particularly Quảng Trị, Thừa Thiên Huế, Đà Nẵng, Quảng Nam, and Quảng Ngãi, were asked to call ships and boats ashore. The Search and Rescue Center was directed to be fully prepared with resources and ensure communication for prompt response. Immediately after receiving alerts about the tropical depression strengthening into a storm heading towards central provinces, local authorities have called on fishermen to move their vessels to shelters. They have also pulled ashore all small boats. More on the alerts in the following.
Fishermen in coastal provinces in the central region have moved their boats ashore and secured them properly. Many fishermen in Da Nang have hired cranes to lift their boats and fishing equipment to safety, anticipating the potential appearance of the storm in the coming days. At mooring areas in many provinces, boat owners and captains are also urgently moving their boats to safe shelter.
We have developed an evacuation plan in coordination with the Management Board's guidelines and the Disaster Prevention Plan of the city, district, and fishing port. We are working with local authorities to prepare temporary shelters for fishing vessels if necessary.
At this point, all vessels were informed about the tropical depression, which may strengthen into a storm. According to the report from the Border Guard Command, around 70,000 boats and more than 300,000 people have received warning signals. No boats remain in dangerous areas.
We actively call on boat owners and captains to find shelters or dock safely. We are emphasizing to them the need to be proactive in storm response and post-storm recovery efforts.
Several localities in central Vietnam have issued a ban on all boats heading out to sea, including passenger boats. The ban will remain until the weather gets better. At the same time, forces and equipment have been prepared for rescue operations if necessary.
Coming up next, localities speed up construction of key transport projects. And Sea of Solutions 2024, delivering action to end plastic pollution.
When it comes to business, it's crucial to choose a smart location with global impact. And Vietnam might just be the location for you. Connect worldwide to advanced logistics networks. Smart Hub for technology and innovation. a dynamic business ecosystem, an environment with a competitive edge.
Welcome back to VTV News. In support of storm and flood victims, various domestic and international donors have contributed a total of $58.7 million to the Central Relief Mobilization Committee by September the 18th. On the same day, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development received emergency aid and support from various countries and international organizations to address the aftermath of Storm Yagi. This includes contributions of $1 million from the United States, $1.3 million from the United Kingdom, $1 million from India, $620,000 from New Zealand, $2 million from Australia, $1.2 million from Switzerland, and $2 million from South Korea. So far, the ministry has received a total of $13 million, over 200 tons of essential goods, including medical supplies, school equipment, and home repair tools. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has promptly transported these supplies to support people in the flood-affected areas. Although the weather has improved, landslides remain a constant threat in many mountainous provinces. In Bắc, nearly 2,000 people are still homeless or too afraid to return to their homes due to the risk of landslides. Providing safe housing for those in high-risk areas is a significant challenge for Bắc.
Nung's two spacious, well-built houses collapsed quickly. Fortunately, the whole family managed to escape. Nearly 10 days later, Nung still did not dare return home.
I was terrified. The water kept pouring down like a river.
A large crack on the hill behind Nafat village in Donglak commune forced dozens of households to evacuate. 37 families are still living in crowded makeshift housing in the market area. Although the weather is dry, no one dares to return.
Too many landslides. I dare not go back.
Many villages in Bắc are situated on slopes. Whenever there's heavy rain, landslides occur. In the past 3 months, 20 people have been killed or injured due to landslide.
We urge districts and communes to review all landslide sites and develop relocation plans. However, the mountainous terrain makes this very challenging.
Bắc is distributing 150 tons of rice to nearly 5,000 people in flood and landslide-affected areas. The province has declared a natural disaster emergency due to Typhoon Yagi, with damage exceeding $35 million, almost equal to its annual budget.
Typhoon Yagi left devastating consequences for the livestock industry as nearly 3 million livestock and poultry were lost and thousands of animal farms were damaged. Farmers and businesses are in urgent need of capital to restore production and rebuild their herds. The State Bank of Vietnam has also instructed credit institutions and commercial banks to promptly implement interest rate support policies, debt restructuring, and provide loans to support people and businesses.
More than 5 hectares of grass used for cattle were flooded and completely wilted. It will take 2 more months before the grass can be harvested again. Banana stalks mixed with bran have now become the last resort to keep the cows alive. Unlike beef cattle, dairy cattle need full nutrition to produce milk. The priority of farmers is simply keeping the herd alive.
Just a few days ago, cows weren't eating anything, only drinking water. They've never been this miserable before. I hope the authorities will create conditions to help us restore production and pay for debts on time.
Natural disasters blew away over 20,000 chickens on this farm. As soon as the flood water receded, the owners began cleaning up. About $2,000 are needed to repair the facilities. They have proposed additional loans from the bank.
We're still determined to resume production. The main goal now is to clean up as quickly as possible so that we can get back to raising chickens. Our family will never give up.
To support farmers, banks will further reduce interest rates on both old and new loans. They will waive overdue interest and offer grace periods for late payments.
We will reduce interest rates by 0.5% to 2% per year. We will also extend debt repayments and reschedule the loan terms. We will apply a 0.5% interest rate reduction for people and companies affected by natural disasters.
The central bank has also requested commercial banks not to collect debts at all costs. Banks must issue flexibility support for recovery in production for both individuals and businesses.
Right after the typhoon passed, many key transportation construction sites resumed operation as usual. Teams and contractors are now striving to complete their projects 6 months ahead of schedule. More in the following.
This construction site is located in a low-lying area of Hanoi. Construction has promptly resumed once the floodwater receded due to their prior preparation. The progress remains on track.
During rainfall, we organized pumps working day and night. We have simultaneously launched 3 construction teams to complete assigned tasks.
We constantly monitor progress. To date, we are still on track to complete the project by the end of 2025.
Pumps have been deployed to flooded areas. All construction sites are now active again. This year, Hanoi aims to disburse at least 95% of the $3 billion allocated for transportation projects. The Ring Road 4 project in the Hanoi capital region spans nearly 113 kilometers, with more than 58 kilometers crossing Hanoi's territory. By addressing issues related to site clearance, multiple construction teams are on track to finish their tasks 6 months ahead of schedule.
We prioritize construction in elevated areas first, and then we will continue with the foundations.
This year, we plan to complete about 9 kilometers of asphalt road surface. We are also working with contractors to address the site clearance issues.
Transportation has also suffered significant damage after the typhoon. More than 4,000 damaged points have been recorded. Efforts to accelerate the progress of ongoing projects are being vigorously pursued. This year, approximately $17 billion has been allocated to the transportation sector, representing about 2/3 of the nation's total public investment budget.
The 18th Vietnam-Singapore Connectivity Ministerial Conference on Vietnam-Singapore Economic Relations concluded on the evening of September the 18th in Singapore. The conference focused on advancing the Green Economy, Digital Economy Partnership, reviewing cooperation in innovation, and exploring new areas such as clean energy, wind power development, and ASEAN power grids. Vietnam urged Singapore to coordinate and implement new initiatives under the Connection Agreement, encourage its businesses to propose new cooperation opportunities, and increase investment in Vietnam. During the conference, the two sides signed a memorandum of cooperation aimed at fostering effective, substantive, and comprehensive collaboration. This includes establishing the Singapore unit to attract high-quality investment from Singapore. The United Nations Sea of Solutions, or SOS 2024, commenced on September the 18th in Bangkok, providing a vital platform for countries and key stakeholders to collaborate on one of the world's most urgent environmental challenges, plastic pollution. This annual event is organized by the United Nations Environment Programme, or UNEP, in partnership with the Seas of East Asia, or COP-C. More in the following.
2024 is seen as a crucial year for tackling global plastic pollution. One of the key topics at this year's SEA of Solutions is the development of a legally binding international agreement to combat plastic pollution.
The world is working towards creating a legally binding agreement to address plastic pollution, and Vietnam is actively contributing to these efforts. The country has established the National Plastic Action Partnership, NPAP, and is among the first 3 nations globally to do so.
Delegates at Sea of Solutions agreed that reducing plastic waste is a global challenge that requires the involvement of governments, contributions from businesses across various sectors, and active participation from individuals in the community.
More than 400 million tons of plastic are produced every year, and over 2/3 of this becomes waste very quickly. And with Sea of Solutions, we bring together all of those solution providers who can actually help end plastic pollution. They need to talk to each other. The cooperation is key.
This year's conference, themed Delivering Actions to End Plastic Pollution, provides a platform for countries to prepare for the final session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee on the Global Agreement to Address Plastic Pollution, scheduled for September. The anticipated agreement will showcase global unity and cooperation in tackling pollution, especially in plastic waste.
Coming up next in our world news, Israel-Hezbollah tensions continue to heat up. And Central European countries strengthen dikes to prevent floods. Hezbollah in Lebanon issued a warning to Israel on Wednesday, stating that it would retaliate at any cost. The statement came after a series of explosions targeting Hezbollah members across Lebanon and Syria on Tuesday, which killed at least 11 people and injured nearly 4,000. Regional sources said the explosions sent shock waves through Hezbollah. The explosives were allegedly secretly attached to Hezbollah pagers, devices that the group uses instead of mobile phones to avoid Israeli intelligence surveillance. Israel has yet to make any statement, neither admitting nor denying responsibility for the attack. Lebanon's representative to the United Nations condemned the recent explosions, emphasizing that they constitute war crimes. Children were among the dead, and most of the injured were seriously hurt. The death toll from severe weather and flooding caused by Storm Boris has risen to 22 in Central Europe. Countries in the region are racing to shore up flood defenses as rivers burst their banks. Strong winds and unusually heavy rain have lashed large swaths of Austria, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, Romania, and Slovakia. In the southern Polish town of Nysa, the embankment around the town has been reinforced with the help of military helicopters, volunteers, and rescue workers. In Slovakia and Hungary, the Danube River is also rising. Hungary's capital, Budapest, is bracing for near-record water levels. Experts say climate change is increasing the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events, such as torrential rain and flooding. The worst drought on record has dramatically lowered water levels in the Amazon basin, in some cases drying up riverbeds that were once navigable. The Solimões, a major tributary of the Amazon River that originates in the Peruvian Andes, has hit its lowest level on record in Tabatinga, a Brazilian town on the Colombia border, measuring 4.25 meters below average for the same period last year. Downstream in Phie, a branch of the Solimões has completely dried up. This marks the second consecutive year of critical drought, parching much of Brazil's vegetation and sparking wildfires across South America, in enveloping cities in smoke. This drought is more severe than previous ones, driven by record-high temperatures and insufficient rainfall, leaving rivers unable to recover. If this continues, many animal habitats will be seriously threatened. And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4go. See you again at 3 p.m. local time.